Hello everybody and welcome back to LMM, and if you're enjoying what you're seeing on the channel at the moment, how about giving this video a like and maybe subscribing to the channel to help us grow, and perhaps even check out our Patreon. Behind me you see my Dennis RS 130 that we call Jupes. Now this thing has been around on the channel for quite some time, although in recent years it's taking more of a side role. And I don't like that, because this is one of LMM's flagship vehicles, and this is a brand new series marking this thing and taking it out and enjoying having a vintage fire engine. So welcome to Roaming Red Engines. Now the vehicle behind me has had a somewhat checkered past and has been horrendously unreliable in the past and has led to several moments of me being stranded by the side of the road. However, we think, and I stress think, that we've got most of the gremlins sorted now, and I'm starting to really enjoy having the truck out on the road. And so that brings me to this brand new series, chronicling our adventures taking this thing out and just enjoying being part of the heritage vehicle scene and having a fire engine, because frankly I've had it now for more years than I can count, and I've never really done anything big and exciting with it apart from break down and try to fix it. And so we're going to try and fix that. But before we can take out a vintage HGV, there are a couple of things that we have to do, and for that I'm bringing in my friend Tom. In a lifetime before I started doing YouTube, I used to drive lorries about, and Tom currently is an HGV driver. That's his full-time job. So having one of these machines and looking after it and taking it out on the road is slightly different to having a car. For instance, we've both got our lorry license. So I've got Class C and you've got
C plus C.
And what does that mean?
That means I can drive the big stuff. I can drive anything, pretty much.
Yeah, and the big thing, what's the E mean?
Well, that it bends in the middle.
Yeah, he does the bendy things, and I can only do rigids. Rigid meaning that it doesn't do a bendy thing in the middle. He can do an Arctic lorry, which isn't one that goes to the North Pole, it's one that does the bendy in the middle.
It's an Arctic.
Yeah. So we both can drive these things. As a normal member of the public, Jupes is too heavy for a normal car license in the UK. Now, for those of you who are outside the UK, in the UK, it's basically A is motorbike, B is car, C is HGV, D is bus, E is trailer, F is tractor.
There's FK, V, Q.
H is tracked vehicle. Anyway, those are the different categories. C is for anything that is over 7.5 tonne. B is for anything up to 3.5 tonne. C1 is 3.5 to 7.5. And then what does mine go up to? Can I do 25 tonnes, or is it 30 tonnes with a triple axle?
I think it's 30 something.
Yeah, but anyway, he can drive most things. I've got limits on my licence. So that's the first thing. Then the second big change is that we can't just fire this up and take it out. There's certain things we have to do, which is called an HGV checklist. Why do we do this?
It's not like with a car. Obviously, everyone should be checking their cars anyway to make sure that it's legal. We know people don't. But obviously with a HGV, there's a lot more weight, and if something's not right, you've got a lot more risk to injure yourself and everybody else. When you take out any car, if it's not in good condition, there is a risk to both yourself and others around you. When you take out something like this that is 11.5 tonnes, well, it doesn't really bear thinking about if things go wrong. That's why we do the checks. Well, precisely. So what are the checks? What would be the first things that we do? Now, bearing in mind that these are checks that I've taken from my HGV days and what he does on basically a daily basis. So you might say it's a bit OTT for a vintage machine, but we might as well go through the established checklist, because funnily enough, what I used to do is the same with what he has to do. Obviously things are slightly different with modern equipment, being that we need to check the oil, check the water. They're all on gauges on dashboards now. Oh yeah. Whereas this, we've got to do it properly with this. Is there oil? Pull out the exceedingly long oil dipstick, and then open up the water flap and look inside. So another thing to check if your vehicle's got it is power steering fluid. On here it's located under the flap. Let's have a look. Now this is a good thing to do with any vintage vehicle, because I don't want to ruin this engine, and if it runs out of oil, that's bad. It's not a fun engine replacement, is it? Anything on this is awful. As you've probably seen through what's broken now,
It's awful to work on that engine, and I think to do anything major on it, do you know the plan? There are lifting eyes on the engine, and you take the roof off and you lift it up, out, through. That's how you're meant to work on the engine.
Let's not do that.
Please no. No. Right, so now what?
Well, we've got lights, we've got tyres, wheel nuts, and spray suppression to make sure that they're all in place and fixed.
Spray suppression may sound a slightly weird one, but with big wheels that could potentially throw up stuff, they're actually a really important part of making sure that you're considerate to your other drivers when you're driving along, that you don't just make a tidal wave behind you. And obviously, lights make total sense. Wheeled lugs make also a lot of sense to make sure the wheel hasn't become wiggly wobbly overnight, because that would be bad. And these tyres, what do your tyres run at pressure-wise?
120 something PSI.
I think that one's 120, I think the fronts are 110. That is a lot more than your car. Bearing in mind, the last time I pumped up the Mini, it has 31 PSI in the tyres, I think.
That's why it's especially important to make sure there's no cuts, nothing in it.
Bulges.
Because if there's a bulge, you hit a bump and that goes bang, boy did they go bang.
It goes bang in a big way.
You know about it.
Which is dangerous to you, particularly if you're driving along, dangerous to anybody standing near it, and generally bad. Also, tyres are expensive. So it's trying to just maintain them, make sure they're in best condition, and if that does go off with a bang, not only is it going to ruin my day, it's also going to ruin the surrounding area of the fire engine, and I would rather not break surrounding areas of fire engine. That's kind of bad. Now, lots of things on this, like the lights, make obvious sense to check. The most difficult one, of course, is your brake lights, because you need somebody stood behind the thing to be able to tell you if they're working or not, because I can't see them if I'm pushing the brake. How do you do it at work on your own?
Our keys have got a button on the bottom. Because it's all new stuff, I can stand at the front of the truck, press a button, and it cycles through every light on the front. Same with the sides, same with the back. So it'll go tail lights on automatically, indicators, brake lights, reverse light, fog light, and catwalk light. Does it all at once, or goes through the sequence.
I don't have any buttons on my keys.
No, you don't have locking.
It does have locking, I just don't have the keys for
find
it.
a key. It's worth pointing out as well, one other thing we need to check, because this is a air brake vehicle, we need to go around, we need to make sure we can't hear any leaks from the air tanks. There's no leaking from any of the wheels from where the brakes are, obviously. So obviously, as this is running high pressures, it's running about 8 bar. Yeah, so that is 8 times atmospheric pressure. So obviously, if there's any leaks, you're going to hear it. But we need to make sure that there aren't any leaks, because if we have any problems with the brakes while we're out, that's bad. For obvious reasons, it's bad. So that's one other thing that we need to make sure we've checked.
The next thing, obviously, is to go through and make sure that your gauges are working once you've fired the thing up, and that everything looks to be, well, as tickety-boo as it can be. And also, we have to check the horn. And once you've done all of those things, you can fire it up and take it out on the road. Now, we have to do these checks every day. It doesn't matter if we've driven it the night before, and then the next morning, we still do these walk-around checks. And if I was being clever about it, I would record everything as well. And I used to do that, but of latent times, it's been just walk around and go, it's good. It's worth pointing out that it is a legal requirement in the UK to make sure your vehicle is safe before you take it out on the road. So with the basic understanding of why we're doing this covered, and the fact we've now gone through and prepped this, it means we can actually do what we wanted to do and take it out for a jolly.
Traditionally, Jupes has never strayed very far from the shed, but in this series we're trying to push that and take it further afield and do more with it. And that meant taking it out onto the dual carriageways, which is something it's not done, well, for quite literally years. And soon, we got to where we wanted to be, turned off the dual carriageway and hit the back roads where we could film. What's really nice about having a friend with an HGV license is that you can share the driving. You can both appreciate it, and I can spend some time in the passenger seat. All too soon, however, we'd made our way back towards the shed, and it was time to put the thing away.
So there we have it. We've been out, we've had no problems with it, we've had a nice drive about, and here we are back at the shed putting it away now. So if you've enjoyed seeing us out and about with Jupes and you'd like to see some more with it, then click over there somewhere. You'll be able to see another video with it, possibly even the one where it broke down on him. But with that, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully we'll see you soon.